Plastic pollution is one of the most urgent environmental challenges of our time. It affects every corner of the planet, from the deepest oceans to the most remote landscapes. It harms wildlife, ecosystems, human health, and the climate. It also creates enormous economic and social costs for society. The current global system for managing plastic is inadequate and fragmented. There is no coherent framework to address the full life cycle of plastic, from production and consumption to waste management and prevention. Most of the existing regulations and initiatives are voluntary, inconsistent, and insufficient to tackle the scale and complexity of the problem. That is why there is a growing demand for a legally binding global treaty on plastic pollution, which is supported by more than 100 countries and civil society groups. A global treaty would provide a clear and ambitious vision for a world free of plastic pollution. It would set common standards and targets for reducing plastic production and consumption, promoting circular economy and innovation, ensuring effective waste management and prevention, and enhancing international cooperation and assistance. A global treaty would also create a level playing field for businesses and governments, and foster accountability and transparency among all stakeholders. It would stimulate investment in sustainable alternatives and solutions, and generate positive impacts for the environment, society, and the economy. The United Nations Environment Assembly, UNEA, has recently adopted a historic resolution to develop an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution by the end of 2024. This is a major step forward in the global effort to end plastic pollution. The resolution establishes an Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, Inc., that will start its work this year, with the aim of drafting a comprehensive treaty that addresses the root causes of plastic pollution, not just the symptoms. The Inc. will be guided by science, informed by best practices, and open to participation from all relevant stakeholders. It will also take into account the different needs and capacities of countries, especially developing countries and small island developing states, which are disproportionately affected by plastic pollution. The Business Coalition for a Global Plastics Treaty is a group of companies and financial institutions that support the development of an ambitious, effective, and legally binding UN treaty to end plastic pollution. The coalition believes that a global treaty is essential to create a harmonized and predictable regulatory environment that enables business innovation and transformation towards a circular economy for plastics. The coalition also advocates for the inclusion of key principles and elements in the treaty, such as binding reduction targets, extended producer responsibility, eco-design requirements, elimination of unnecessary plastics, promotion of reuse systems, bans on certain types of plastics, transparency and reporting mechanisms, financial mechanisms, and technical assistance. The coalition calls on all governments, businesses, and civil society organizations to join them in supporting the UN treaty process and working together to achieve a world without plastic pollution. The challenges and opportunities of creating a circular economy for plastics, which would reduce environmental and health impacts of plastic waste by 80% by 2040. Plastic waste is one of the most pressing environmental problems of our time. Every year, millions of tons of plastic end up in landfills, oceans, and ecosystems, causing harm to wildlife, human health, and the climate. If we don't act now, by 2050 there could be more plastic than fish in the oceans. But there is a way to solve this crisis: a circular economy for plastics. A circular economy is a system where products and materials are designed to be reused, recycled, or composted, instead of thrown away. This way, we can keep plastics in the economy and out of the environment. A circular economy for plastics has three main actions: eliminate, innovate, and circulate. First, we need to eliminate all problematic and unnecessary plastic items, such as single-use packaging, straws, and bags. These items are often used for a few minutes and then discarded, creating a lot of waste and pollution. We can replace them with reusable or biodegradable alternatives, or avoid them altogether. Second, we need to innovate to ensure that the plastics we do need are reusable, recyclable, or compostable. This means designing plastic products and packaging that can be easily cleaned, repaired, or refilled, or that can be broken down into their basic components and turned into new materials. We also need to develop new technologies and processes that can recycle plastics more efficiently and effectively. Third, we need to circulate all the plastic items we use to keep them in the economy and out of the environment. This means collecting and sorting plastic waste properly, so that it can be recycled or composted instead of dumped or burned. It also means creating new markets and incentives for recycled plastics, so that they can compete with virgin materials and create value for businesses and consumers. By creating a circular economy for plastics, we can achieve multiple benefits for society and the planet. According to a recent study by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and Systemic, by 2040 a circular economy for plastics has the potential to reduce the annual volume of plastics entering our oceans by 80%, reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 25%, generate savings of $200 billion per year, create 700,000 net additional jobs. But to make this vision a reality, we need to act now and act together. We need collaboration and coordination from all stakeholders in the plastics value chain: producers, retailers, consumers, recyclers, policymakers, NGOs, and others. We need to shift from a linear model of take-make waste to a circular model of reduce, reuse, recycle. We also need an international binding approach to amplify current efforts and level the playing field. A UN treaty on plastic pollution could provide a global framework and common standards for addressing this issue at scale. The circular economy for plastics is not only a necessity but also an opportunity. It offers a way to solve one of the biggest environmental challenges of our time while creating economic value and social benefits. It is time to rethink and redesign the future of plastics. The UN negotiations on plastic waste are a crucial opportunity to address the global crisis of plastic pollution, which affects every part of the world, from the Arctic to the oceans and the air we breathe. However, not everyone has a seat at the table or a voice in the debate. The voices and perspectives of scientists, waste pickers, and communities affected by plastic pollution, who are often excluded or marginalized in the UN talks, are essential to finding effective and equitable solutions.